Tony, I got a question, especially after the way last year ended. How hungry are you for success this year?
Mike, last night I had like 4 pieces of Popeye's chicken, a biscuit.
Wait. That's not the right answer. Just hit the music.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.
Touchdown, San Diego! Woo!
It's Friday night, so you guys know what that means. It's the newest episode of Nuts and Bolts, and myself, and I'm sure Tony Tucker's body is filled with electricity because just a couple days ago now, we went to our first day of camp, on the first day of camp for the Chargers. Had a great time. Tony, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing great. I'm still feeling a little bit of buzz from that experience. The kids had a blast coming back and telling my wife about who ran faster. Becoming fans of Austin Ekeler with the poster. I got to get the poster up. I'm going to replace it. I haven't. But my son sat down and watched 2021 highlights of Austin Ekeler. And he was like, well, he scores a lot of touchdowns. And I'm like, yeah, he does. It's going to be a good year.
Yeah, Austin Ekeler puts in a lot of work, and he gets the ball a lot. That's a great player to be a fan of. I need to get my poster up, too. Got a lot of empty space back here right now. It's a beautiful poster, guys. By the way, if you guys didn't see it, go check out the Chargers Instagram page, and I'm sure it's being posted everywhere. But these posters are awesome. Hopefully they give out – wait, what the hell? I got it right next to me. What is this?
There it is.
The poster.
Look at that. And that's not Photoshopped either, people. That's not Photoshopped. That's just sheer definition in his pythons right there.
We call that CrossFit, ladies and gentlemen. CrossFit and heavy weights. Put them together, and you get Austin Ekeler's bicep. Anyways, enough drooling over
exercise.
Austin.
He's going to have his own brand of exercise, right? Because he has the experience, so it'll just be exercise. He'll take over TB12 when he leaves. They'll be like, what do you eat? He's like, I just eat concrete and I lift weights all day long. That's all I do.
That might be something, Tony. You might want to get the TM on that or something. I don't know. Hold on to that one. That sounds like a genius idea. Anyways, we did go to camp. We're going to talk about camp a little bit. We're going to talk about post-camp pressers. There's going to be a lot of camp talk this month because it is the preseason. We're going to be solidifying the Chargers roster. When I say we, I mean the Chargers will be solidifying their roster heading into the year. So exciting. A bunch of exciting developments already. It's been 2 days now of practice and already a ton of developments. But first, let's just talk about our time at camp. I have this video here, Tony. I'll play it for everybody. I want everyone to check out the sights and sounds of camp. Just a little narration I made for my TikTok page. Bring it to the Nuts and Bolts YouTube channel. We'll play it, and then we'll talk about our own experiences, too. Yesterday, I attended opening day to Chargers training camp. And here's everything I got to see. The sites were bolted up with Chargers-themed free posters, cardboard cutouts, and decor everywhere. Fan-wise, this was the most Chargers fans that I have seen at camp in my life, in person or via video. At practice, seeing players such as Khalil Mack in Chargers blue was pretty surreal, even this close to kickoff. Of course, Herbert was dropping dimes all over the field as well, and both the offense and defense had their moments in team practice. After practice ended, Austin Ekeler came over and was signing autographs. Then, of course, Herbert came over to say hello to the fans, signing autographs to the chants of MVP, MVP. Once everything calmed down, I got to dust my wife in a race and try out the Air Force One's bouncers. And on a side note, I still kind of got it, guys. Shout out to everyone who I ran into and said hello. Overall, great day being around some great fans, rooting for a great team about to do great things.
They were cheering for Khalil Mack, actually, so.
And I had a great time. But before we get into talking about practice, Tony, did you also have a great time? Obviously, you had a great time.
Yeah, I had a great time. I also have a little vlog on this channel. You can go back and watch that there. And if you're new to the channel, we appreciate you stopping by. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button and join us all season long. every Friday we'll be doing a Chargers pep rally, and we'll be doing shows and content throughout the week. But it just felt different there. And that last little part there with Herbert, it's like these are the little pieces of his personality that you're finally, that people are always like, he doesn't do anything besides whatever. He's very intellectual. That was a great joke. I know that like that moment right there when he did it, he's like, how can I deflect this? Like, and you did it. He did it in a very funny way, right? Like he took the opportunity to talk about another great player on his team and be like, well, they couldn't be talking about me because we have former defensive league MVPs on this team. We have future defensive MVPs in Joey Bosa and Derwin James on this team. Like we got Hall of Famers in Keenan Allen. Like we're loaded. So they weren't chanting for me. They were chanting for Khalil Mack. You didn't know that? It was perfect timing, delivery. Bravo, young Herbert.
Herbert also, when camp was just starting, I saw the clips on the Chargers page again. He switched jerseys with some random guy that was tall with long blonde hair and put him in the helmet and sent him out there so the social media team couldn't catch him on camera. Went around the back and then switched jerseys on the field with the guy also, trying to keep the camera crew off of him.
Yeah, I love that too. There was a little thing they did, like when he marched out for camp the first day before fans were there or whatever, practice, and he looks at the camera when they're walking by and they get all the players on. And Herbert just looks at the camera and he goes, let the games begin. And then you find out that he, instead of driving into the parking lot, parked away from, the facility and then sneaks in so that he can't be recorded. It's like, I like there's this little game of him doing it. Like, yes, he doesn't want the attention, but on the other hand, he also just is like, let's have fun with this. Like, let's turn it into a bit. And to me, that's great comedy. I love that he's leaning into it.
Yeah, and it'll become something. It'll become a part of Herbert's legend as he grows and as he becomes more of a star in the NFL than he already was. Something that really impressed me at camp was the fan turnout. It's Wednesday, middle of the week. All of these people had to take a day off from work to go and do that. Obviously, it's easy for me and you to do it because we're super fans of the team. But to see that there are hundreds of other super fans willing to do it as well, that is something that we did not see in camp last year. At least to the camps that I went to last year. Last year, those bleachers we were sitting in, Tony, 20 people for the entire thing. Everyone was standing down there by the fence, wouldn't even fill out the whole fence straight in a one line across the row. I mean, there was maybe 50, 100 people there. And we'll see as it gets more into camp. Probably some weekdays is going to be like that again. But just the initial excitement of the fan base really impressed me. And it really gave me like that feel like, oh, this is it. This is the team. We are ready, man. Did you notice anything about the fans and how excited they were?
Oh, yeah. You could hear everything. And there were people having conversations around us. And they were like, you could just see them that they've been following all year, right? Because it just started off with like, the re-signing of Mike Williams and the acquisition of Khalil Mack and JC and like all these players that are coming in. And it was like there was no real downtime when it first started. Then you get to the draft and you get this offensive lineman in and you're like, oh, wow, Herbert's going to have a wall in front of him now. And it's like everybody was there and they all had excitement, opinions, optimism. And really, like you said, hundreds. I would say there was probably like 1,500, 2,000 people. Like there was a lot of people that were there because there was that, 7 rows and it was all the way along the fence. Like it was all there. Like my wife was like, oh, did you try and take the kids up to get autographs or whatever? And I was like, we got there too late. And I was not trying to fight my kids to the front of that with like, a bunch of grown men in helmets that were like, they didn't care about me or my kids. Like this is their moment. They took the day off work. Here you go. I'll sneak my way back here, on a Wednesday in mid-August and try and get something at that point. But it really was a sight to see, especially with all the memes, all the Charger fan memes that are out there. It's like, what are you talking about? The line at like 6:30, 7 o'clock in the morning that's going around the building just so people could try to be the first one in. It was a beautiful sight to see.
Yeah, I saw some comments on a post that I put up. People were saying, wow, they actually have fans there. Look at that. Look at that. Yeah, look at that. Look at that. Yeah, when it doesn't cost $500 to go to a game, some of the fans might show up.
Mike, one thing we're doing this year, guaranteed. I saw a video of Die Hard Bolt Club's tailgate party before a game. We're doing that this year. It's going to happen. Like, my birthday's in season. We'll try to figure out when we're going to make that happen. And we're going down there to party with those guys pregame. I'm going to do it responsibly. I'm getting an Uber.
Yeah, we're going to have to hop in an Uber, hop on the metro. I don't know what the hell we're going to have to do. We're going to do something. Hey, Tony, me and you haven't partied together yet. There might be a 20-year age gap, but I think that we have a lot of commonalities in the kind of drinks that we like to drink.
Yeah.
Which is, for me, all of them.
No, I'm game. I can still, I can't, here's the thing. I can't do repeat performances like I used to when I was young. You get up, little hair of the dog, you just start drinking again in the morning. But I can tie it on for one night. I'll regret it for like 3 days. My whole body aches. And I'm like, I'm never drinking again. But it can go down.
We got to do it. We got to do it on a game where we know it's going to be all good vibes too. Maybe Denver. They're an easy win.
Oh, man. What's funny is like the Broncos, like some of the Broncos fans, when I talk to them, it's like, well, we were just one quarterback away from whatever it was. And it's like that. It doesn't really work that way. Like the Rams made the playoffs with Jared Goff. Like if you were really just a quarterback away, like these teams, it would be the difference. And it's not like they didn't get Tom Brady like the Bucks. So you're not just a quarterback away. There's other elements of the game outside of what Russell Wilson can do.
Yeah, and I would argue they didn't get Matthew Stafford like the Rams too. Matthew Stafford played like a phenom in the playoffs last year.
Yeah, Matthew Stafford will go down as being like one of the more underrated QBs because like everybody goes, oh, well, he finally got one. He's still got 4 good years left in him.
Yeah, at least the way modern medicine's been going, Tom Brady is playing at 45. Just like this guy's going crazy. But yeah, it was a ton of fun. The events were fun. I loved all the decor. It was the same stuff that they had at camp last year, but everything just seemed so much more hyped because last year you just saw Herbert and Keenan and Bosa, the normal guys. But now we got big old Khalil Mack posters and JC Jackson posters. And I was just, man, it's just so exciting to see it all come together and see the team together for the first time. That really was what it was. And with the fans there as well, of course. So ready to move on to the players? Oh, one more thing. Go ahead.
Yeah, even think like, so when you're there and you get to see it, Staley's vibe, they put out a mic'd up today. I recommend everybody go and listen to it. And they just showed him and how he's moving around there. His energy, his leadership is so apparent in the practice, how they're moving and the excitement and the fun they're having. When we were there, Joe Gaziano got that. He got that little pick 6 of the defensive line when they were playing around, and you could see him. They cut to him during that mic'd up segment, and it's really fun, really funny.
Yeah, that was interesting to see the big man running up the sideline. They just busted up a screen or something. Something went wrong, and the ball bounced around and ended up in his hand. And the whole team started losing their minds as he ran up the sideline.
It was
big
great.
92. Anyway, speaking of players, let's move on into the players. Players that we noticed, things that stood out, anything like that, Tony, that you want to bring up?
Just like some of the work that was being done there with like the special teams drills when we were watching there, right? Mm-hmm. Like I saw a lot of the players that they may be working out as gunners and stuff like that, which I thought was interesting, like having Jalen Guyton work out there. I don't remember him doing kick coverage last year. So maybe that's a new development. You find different ways to use his speed. I think we saw Palmer work in that drill too, which was interesting. Remember my comment was, I love to know that the kid's a football player and he's practicing, but please never, ever put him out there in that situation.
I mean, I feel like that's really end of the line stuff right there. These guys are really doing that drill to warm up more than anything. I don't think that Josh Palmer or Guyton, we got our guys. The backup DBs will handle that. The backup safeties, imagine JT Woods doing that though. That'd be crazy. Flying down the field while that ball's hanging in the air, and then.
But they got all those young men. They ran like 4.3 40s. Just Sear Taylor, Dean Leonard is fast. Yeah. JT Woods, like they brought in a ton of speed for that potential gunner spot.
someone is getting their head taken off if they don't call fair catch. And I don't know who it's going to be, but someone's going to do it. Speaking of special teams, let's stay on special teams. We noticed DeAndre Carter was out there. He was a lot of fun to watch. Not really doing too much, but when the receivers are running routes and stuff, he's obviously running routes with them. Very electric, very fiery, very quick. I enjoyed watching DeAndre Carter at practice and seeing that we have a legit guy that can be used as a gadget player on offense and as a return man on special teams. And I didn't count at how many punts that he caught after practice ended, but he stayed after practice and I want to say 20 to 30 punts, didn't drop a single one.
Yeah, they fired up the jugs machine, which I just want. Don't you just want a jugs machine? Like, I think I don't want to be too old, but it'd be great to have one of those for the park. Just to have just firing footballs just out. Nobody's even got to catch him. I just want to just hear thunk, just watch the ball.
Well, in that case, you might as well just like launch him off a mountain or something.
Yeah,
let him
it's
go.
like when I was a kid, I used to stand at the edge of hills and I'd take my tennis racket and I'd hit rocks until the strings popped. I have some weird fascination with just watching things fly and land and no real point to it. But I did like that. He looked good back there. Also to that, it was nice to see the offensive linemen just getting out there, moving around, looking a little light. Like I saw a lot of people that, or maybe they just seemed smaller than the way they look on TV to me. Like just seeing them in person, they don't seem as big as I imagine them to be, looking fleet of foot. And also the tight ends getting down there. It was really a beautiful thing to see Donald Parham back on the field because that injury was scary, talking possibly never playing football again. He had a big highlight in today's day 2 of camp, but just seeing him out there working on blocking, having fun. What was it? Matt Filer was playing a little QB in those offensive drills they were doing. He was showing off the cannon, throwing little 7-yard routes out there. Like to see the big men getting some action. That was fun.
And those little drills we got to see the O-linemen do also. We saw a little bit of Zion's versatility. He looked like he had some burst off the line. I mean, getting there quicker than Corey Linsley was, which is very impressive. Corey Linsley is one of the best interior offensive linemen in the NFL. So, yeah, it was exciting seeing the O-line going to work and kind of a new improved O-line. I was trying to watch Trey Pipkins like a hawk because I'm on board, Trey. We're going to the Pro Bowl, right, Tony? That's what we said a couple of weeks ago.
Right there,
Trey Pipkins. On the board.
Yeah, if it's on the board, it's true, Mike.
So I was trying to watch him, but he didn't really do anything that was like individual drills or anything like that I could get anything out of. But maybe next time I go to camp, they'll do some one-on-ones. Last time I went, last year, they did one-on-ones with the edge rushers versus the tackles, the receivers versus the corners and safeties, and even like the punt returners got chances to like try and juke out, people trying to tackle them, but they weren't actually tackling. They were just running up to them and then breaking down and then stopping. I didn't get to see any of that. I think they took it light because it was the first day of practice, which is smart. And they also have a lot more veterans on the team, so you're going to see a lot of the younger guys probably doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to go back, honestly. Another cat that stood out in the team practice, and I'm sure you guys saw probably the highlights already, in number 33, too, Tony, as weird as that may look. And Derwin James did not practice, but he was on the field with the team, helping lead the team. I love seeing that. Let's just play it safe until we get the deal done. But number 33, Leonard, out here batting balls down, almost had his hands on a pick. Imagine if he got his hands on that pick, that really would have fired the crowd up. But what do you think? Maybe a little diamond in the rough we found, Tony, as a death piece?
I mean, I definitely think so, right? Because all you need to do is get into a situation with great players around you, right? A lot of times we see some players that they get there and they have super high expectations, but there's no real good veteran leadership around them. It's not a good system or situation for them to end up in. And maybe too much is put on their shoulders early. In this situation, you have a lot of young players coming in that they're not really going to need a whole lot. Like they're not going to be asked to do a ton because they're going to be 3rd, 4th on the depth chart. And they're going to be able to be learning. They're going to be able to study and be in a room and sit there and be like, oh, I may never get 25 picks in 4 years like JC Jackson, right? I might not have those ball skills, but just finding out what he knows, how he studies film, what he learned. And then when I do get my shot to play, I'm that much more prepared because I have studied with Derwin. You know, Michael Davis being year 6 in the league now, 5-6 years in the league. Like you start seeing the kind of trickle down effect of having really good players on your roster.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And I think that's going to help all of our young DBs and all of our young players that are playing behind like guys that have been in the league and been superstars in the league for multiple years now. It's going to be cool to see how they develop, especially by the time we get to preseason. Like, are these guys flying around? Are they balling out in the preseason already? Man, I can't wait for the season to start. One more thing on players. You know who looked really impressive, Tony? And it's no surprise, but Justin Herbert was firing. He was firing. You know, Asante Samuel was on Mike's back. Didn't matter. The only person really disrupting anything Herbert was doing was Dean. And I think Dean only got one on Herbert. Like the other ones were all on Chase Daniels and stuff. Herbert was dropping dimes in a bucket over and over and over again during team practice.
He was. He looks great. And I put up that video on Twitter, Nuts and Bolts, LAC. And it's just funny because you can hear Jay in the background going, Justin Herbert's got a great arm, as if it's like news or something. I was like, this is just funny for him to be like, to say that. When I see it, every time I see it, we saw it at FanFest last year, and you see it in person, it's just that much more impressive because it's just a quick sort of, you know, motion, and then all of a sudden the ball is just like
a missile
ripping through the air. And it's right on target every time. And it's like how anybody thought that this kid couldn't play at this level. I get it when you don't think that he could be this good, this fast. I completely understand that. I don't doubt that. But I go back and I listen to some people go, oh, he'll be out of the league in a few years. He doesn't have what it takes to do whatever. I'm like, based on what? Like you saw that even just at his pro day, just throwing the ball. It's different than anybody else. These other guys throwing the football have all been throwing the ball since they were 9-10 years old. It doesn't sound or look like that. And very few people do. So yeah, it's Justin Herbert. It's ridiculous. We're talking about an MVP of the league someday.
I agree with you 100%. Maybe next year, honestly. It is interesting because like it seems like scouts are always trying to find that perfect management and that perfect fit of talent and attitude and character and all that. And everything that we know about Herbert so far is that he is built to be an NFL quarterback, and he's built to be an NFL quarterback for 20 years because he has the great character. He has the great work ethic. And on top of it, just happens to be 6 feet tall, loaded with talent.
Yeah. 6 feet 6.
That's what I meant to say. 6 feet 6 with loads of talent.
Yeah, it's really crazy too because you see him go stand up next to Mahomes or anybody else where you're like, oh, this, and he's huge next to them, like he's a mountain. I'm excited for him. There's there's nothing really more that you can say other than thank God we have this guy on the team. You had mentioned Derwin. I love the way they're handling it. I thought it was interesting because I looked down on my phone and they ended practice, and I was like, they ended practice a little bit early. But in my head, I'm like, oh, this is a good thing though. Like it's the first day. It's hot out here. There's fans. Let's get these running backs over, to start getting autographs, start juicing up the crowd a little bit. Like we can do that because I think they come back for like an afternoon walkthrough and stuff like that. They have a second practice that day where it's like they just are doing more sort of game plan installing for the next day and stuff like that. Why not cut it 15 minutes early? Great practice. Get over there and get these fans ripping and roaring. It's day one. And they did that. They did a great job. I loved it.
Yeah, and I think that they probably were doing a lot of meetings before practice started too. It's a part of the season where there is a lot of mental study that needs to go on, and these guys need time to study. And then they also kind of got to manage their reps a little bit. I think that last year there was definitely a change in philosophy at practice, and that might have been a direct, product and a direct contributor to how healthy we were last year. Because the team in its history, and definitely in the past decade or so, the end of Phillip Rivers' run, was plagued, like cursed. 20 players in IR by the time we get to the end of the year. But last year, we lost Ade Ibushi. I mean, you're going to lose guys to freak injuries like that. Most part, everyone played 14 or more games.
Yeah, it's so great to see that you have somebody who recognizes we don't need. I got a preseason ticket, and I would love to see Keenan Allen. I don't need to see Keenan Allen. I'll get a ticket to a regular season game to go see him play football. Same thing with Bosa and Mack and whatever. We already know what they can do. What I will be interested in seeing in this preseason game, or any of the ones that I'm fortunate enough to make it to, is like, I want to see, Roundtree carry the football. I want to see, I don't even necessarily want to see Spiller in the preseason. Like I think it would be great for him, but I also I want to see him come out and just sort of get the job as the number 2 based on the work that he puts in practice and the potential that we saw coming out of the draft, and just say like, hey, this is your job until, we see that you can't handle it. I mean, I do want him to earn it. I just don't want anybody that I think might get significant reps in the regular season playing in the preseason. I just don't see an upside to it.
It doesn't really make sense. And if Spiller does play, it should be like a drive here, a drive there, do some pass protection, like maybe a carry or two, nothing crazy. Both those guys look good too. Larry looked good and Spiller looked good carrying the football in the few reps that I saw them get. Let's move on to these pressers. We're already at 26 minutes, Tony. Go ahead. Actually, give me the whole spiel. You got it all written down there somewhere.
Yeah, I don't. I have 6 words written down. Everything, how I do everything, Mike. It's just for my head. So the press conferences that were on Wednesday after, I believe, was the Herbert Khalil Mack, right? We kind of opened up the show making the joke about being hungry or whatever. I love that intensity from Khalil Mack. I thought that was the perfect answer, the way to end it, and just being like, how much more could I tell you that I'm ready to play football, that this is what I do? Mm-hmm. He always gets up there and says, I'm not somebody who talks. And I know that you have to ask him questions, but how many times can he say, like, I'm ready to go? Like, I'm going to get out here and give every ounce of what I have. Coach Staley just talking about the difference, the night and day from knowing what you're doing. And if you listen to the mic'd up from him, he actually gets into it a little bit. Like, they finished the offensive walkthrough 3 minutes early ahead of schedule because they're more efficient. He's like, we need to add more plays. We need to use up every minute instead of ending through. Let's get the script longer and let's have them rolling through faster, which was really great. And then as far as the press conferences from Thursday, Lombardi talks about Xander Horvath, Mike, getting carries at running back, because they're talking about how they're going to deploy him in his athleticism. Is he going to be a fullback? They talk about Neighbors caught the ball well, but Horvath really was like more of a running back in college. How can they use that to their advantage and where they're going to play him and tight end and all? It just was like exciting because I was like, yes, he's saying, he's like, sometimes on third down, you want a big back in there, take a shot, boom, like get out there with the pass protection and just linebacker comes. Can he take him? Can he handle the blitz? Bosa talking about Kyle Van Noy playing, like practicing, studying with the linebackers more. And maybe he wasn't with the edge rushers as much. So maybe that, I was thinking, maybe that opens up a better chance for somebody like Jamal Davis to make the roster, or they got that kid from the USFL, from Kemp or something, who is also an edge rusher. Like maybe Chris Rumpf is getting more snaps. Maybe we see him have kind of a big preseason at that spot. And then Keenan talking about working out of the slot a little bit more. Felt, even when they were running those little routes, they were doing those reps, 3 wide receivers going out. Palmer was out there running next to, because remember, I was like, this is my dream lineup right here. It was Keenan in the slot. It was Mike on one side and Palmer on the other, and it just looked fantastic. But Keenan even said he's lining up a little bit more in the slot, which you and I both think is 1, great for career, and 2, amazing for this offense. Because there is not a slot corner in the league that wants to deal with Keenan Allen for 35, 40 snaps a game out of the slot. Nobody wants that.
Yeah, and the more and more that he loses his explosiveness, the more and more that he ages and his body just isn't quite as athletic as he was before, it just benefits him a ton to have more field to work with, because his strength is always going to be the route running. His strength is always going to be the way he sets corners up and then breaks at the last second and gets them turned around. So when you get him in the slot, he can go left or right. He's not as much forced outside where it's either run a fade or run something in to the middle of the field, and the DB already knows that. But yeah, I can't wait to see these guys go out there. When they were running those, and you said this is my dream lineup, I was thinking of like a well orchestrated attack in hockey or something. Like they're just flying down the ice together as one unit.
Yes, the flying V right there, straight out of the Mighty Ducks.
Yeah,
but it's just it's a flying lightning bolt coming down the field.
Everett looks fast too. He's running full speed down the field with the receivers.
Yeah, Lombardi talked about him too, like being surprised about his blocking ability. He talked about how all the tight ends. He talked about McKitty, which was very interesting. That he wants people to know that he's more than just a blocker. The other problem is, he said, if you start trying to get these other players involved in the game, you're taking touches away from Mike and Keenan and Austin, and that's really where you want to make your hay, because we know that if you get the ball, and they know this better than us, if you get the ball to these guys, great things are going to happen. Like I remember Mike Williams at Clemson, and he hasn't quite gotten to that Mike Williams at the NFL level. Like I think there's another level for Mike Williams to be at 1,500 yards and like 15 touchdowns. Like the kind of season where it's like, this dude is unstoppable. No corner can jump with him, and he's fast. And now Herbert has a better understanding. Like, I just think there's another level of Mike Williams that is yet to be unlocked. And it just could be that kind of year for Mike, where it's like Lombardi knows it, and he starts using him kind of in that Michael Thomas, like, yeah, we're going to hit you on some slants. And when they fall for that on the third one and somebody tries to jump it, gone right there, and we get a quick little home run. Mike just throwing up the hand, letting him know I'm open. And we're going in for 6 touchdown Chargers.
100%. That was my first thought when we picked up Joe Lombardi as an offensive coordinator last offseason. My first thought was, holy crap, this is great for Mike Williams, because he already has like a route running technician that he can learn from in Keenan Allen. But now he also has a guy who knows how to deploy a guy that's built like Mike Williams, has a similar game to Mike Williams. And we saw a lot of it last year, especially early on in the year, that he was not afraid to feed Mike Williams. They believe in the talent of Mike Williams. And I agree with you. He can have that next jump. The only thing stopping him from that next jump, in my opinion, also is just health. That's literally it. He's got the game. He displayed a whole nother level of route running last year, in my opinion. Everything with Rivers, everything in his young career. And I know he was dealing with injuries and stuff as far as his development. It just was Mike run straight down the field and catch it over everybody. But we really saw him, running slants, running comebacks, running deep crossers, running drags, taking screens, doing everything last year.
Yeah. The thing is, like, I was kind of bummed because he had a few more drops than I thought that he would have. But I just think that's kind of like year 2, you get some timing. He's more familiar with those because he hadn't done a lot of that up to that point. Like, these were new routes to him, new timing in the offense and where you're getting to. And now you have a whole nother year of working on all of this stuff. It just goes to another level between chemistry between quarterback and wide receiver, which is something that we're always trying to get to. And it's like, when you have, Keenan talked about this today, the chemistry in college was kind of easy because his brother was the quarterback of the team. Then he gets to the NFL and he's lucky enough to have a future Hall of Famer in Phillip Rivers, who's just like, hey, Phil's going to tell me exactly what he wants, and I just need to be there. He's kind of guiding Herbert through that chemistry, saying like, hey, you tell me what you like, and I'm going to, Papa's going to make it happen, okay? Like, I'm going to get out. I'm going to get open for you. All you got to do is hit the old 1-3 right there, and your boys got you. That's it. It's that simple.
That's like one of my new favorite wide receivers in the league, Tyreek Hill, what he was saying on that podcast with Tua. He's like, our chemistry is going to be so good, Tua. You're going to wake up one night, and I'm going to be washing your dishes and doing your laundry and all that stuff. What the hell, Tyreek? I want to be your maid and your wide receiver.
Oh man, you gotta love that. You gotta love that about a teammate who's just hyping you up like that. Because one of the things that could help Tua get to the next level is somebody having confidence and believing in him. And it clearly didn't feel like Brian Flores gave that to him. So maybe it's Keenan or maybe it's Tyreek's job. He thinks I need to give him that injection of confidence.
Yeah, we'll see how confident he is in a couple weeks into the season. The Dolphins have a rough start to their schedule. They play some tough teams. But I think we hit it all. Oh, back to Horvath. Going all the way back to Horvath. I think that the NFL really is adopting this idea that more so than having this one talent. We've seen in the past these players, they have this one talent, they're really good at it, and they dominate through it, right? Whatever it might be. Power running backs, for example. Some of these guys like Derrick Henry will just run you over no matter what situation you're in. But I think the NFL really is starting to shift, and the Rams are one of the first teams to do it, to adding a bunch of players on the team that are super versatile. And going from Gabe Neighbors at fullback to Horvath, the guy who can play running back, fullback, and run routes at tight end if he absolutely has to, is just another step forward towards that direction. And the Chargers have shown on defense that is their goal. That is what they're going for. It's been preached, and you're seeing it on offense now too, where they're picking up guys that we know can be dynamic and be used in a bunch of different ways. And that's why I look forward to with Horvath the most, is how creative they can get. I'm assuming if he's talking about him, I mean, he hasn't said a word about him yet, right? This is the first time he spoke about him. He's making the team.
Thankfully, they asked about him. Like one of the reporters just asked, like, "Hey, what's going on? What's the plan here?" And he just kind of Lombardi opened up about a lot of things they're hoping for. And Lombardi was really he's going to be a head coach, Mike. I can almost guarantee this offseason we're going to be talking about the promotion of Shane Day, right, to offensive coordinator or something like that. But he just said we don't have all the information yet because they don't have pads on. Once they get pads on, we're going to have that much more information, and we're going to be able to really start to deploy and implement the things we want to do. But I just want to touch on real quick the different layers, Mike, that you're talking about. They really went and got versatility at every position because it's in the DB level, right? It's in the linebackers. You might see on one series 3 different linebackers like rotating in, like somebody who's coming in to stop the run potentially on 1st and 10, and somebody else, who's there for a 2nd and 5. And then let's say all of a sudden now it's 3rd and 7 because of a loss of down. Tranquil's coming in to play coverage or something like that. Like it might be 3 different linebackers because of the versatility they have across the D line, even into the wide receiver groups and the tight end and the mismatches, the running backs. Like the talent and the ability and the versatility on this team it's so exciting, people. Fucking bolt up.
I agree 100%. We got running backs that can play slot receiver and tight end. We got tight ends that can play slot receiver and tight end. We got a quarterback that can play receiver if we need to. We got linebackers that play safety. Like imagine one snap, it's Kenneth Murray and Troy Reader, and then the next snap it's Derwin James and Kyle Van Noy. It's like, well, wait a minute. We can't run the same play we had called to attack Kenneth Murray. It'll be interesting. It'll be a lot of fun. It'll be a lot of fun this year.
It's going to be incredible. Just the buzz going in again, just from camp and everybody that was there was outstanding.
Yeah, and shout out to everyone that was there, everyone that we ran into. It was a great time. We were talking with Chargers fans, talking with the employees and everything. I even, right before I dusted Rose very easily, by the way. Rose is slow. And I not the brag, I run like a 5'4" or something still in my old age. But right before I went, Khalil Mack's wife walked right behind me. I just started talking to her. I was like, tell Khalil to have a great season. And she's like, thanks. We really appreciate all the support from the fans, all this stuff. So like we are already becoming more and more of a Bolt family. And it started with camp on Wednesday.
That was, I know we need to wrap up the show, but there really were some cool moments too. And maybe I'm just sentimental. The moment with Fred Spiller and Isaiah Spiller, where he goes over and he talks to his dad right there after camp. Fred posted a picture of how proud he was next to his son. It was just a really beautiful moment. Khalil with his family there. And you see it and it's like, it makes them very human. Like you just get to see the people and just remember like all the sacrifices that their family makes for them to be able to go out there and entertain us. I get it, people. They're handsomely rewarded for what they do. Don't get me wrong. There's still sacrifices made by the family for holidays, for school, for performances athletically. And I appreciate that. I'm very grateful because I love watching football.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it is a sacrifice still, even millions of dollars. If you told me I'm sacrificing millions of dollars, for example, in Khalil Mack's case, if science is working in his case, he's going to have a baby during the regular season. I mean, it's going to happen. And he's going to keep playing. And he's going to have to stay just as focused and work just as hard while also being a brand new father. Like, that's not easy to do. And that's not something that should be taken lightly just because these guys are millionaires.
Yeah. It's all a big vicious cycle of like your success. When you are elite at something, you'll be compensated in that way. That goes for everything, like the smartest engineers, the best artists, the best actors. When you can be one of one or one of a few, you're rewarded for that. And that's just life. And it doesn't make you not human. It doesn't make you not have all the same things going on that everybody else has. So
well said, Tony. Well said. A great way to end the show. Any last words? I don't think you can say anything better than that.
No, I don't even know why you're allowing me to talk anymore.
We'll see you guys next week. Again, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, especially if you're a Chargers fan. Other fans are welcome if you guys like talking shit with us. That's okay. But especially if you're a Chargers fan, hit that subscribe button. Like the video to help us out in the algorithm. We'll see you guys next week. There's going to be a lot more camp developments, and we are keeping our eyes on all of them. Can't wait to see you guys then. Bolt up. Peace out.
San Diego Chargers are fortunate to have Lance Allworth.
On blue, ready?
Don Coryell.